Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. It's Singh here. As usual, I'm going to do a year's futures review, top down approach. No change in the approach because I would love to be consistent with whatever I do. Uh, so let's start without wasting too much of time. This time, I'm going to keep a video short compared to what I had posted before. The prior video was more of market information plus a little bit of educational, which you must have seen how the market played based on that. Now let's see where market is last week and where what are the potential trade opportunities for the next week, right? For the next week or for the coming month. So as usual, I'm gonna start from monthly. So as I mentioned previously, the market was in a large balance range, and there was a potential for the reversal to the upside as long as this low was not breached. And we expected a measured move all the way to 4577, which was the half balance move on weekly basis. So market went a little bit on a higher side. There were weak references at 4577, so those were taken out, and market has taken a reversal last week from 4631. So on a larger time frame, the structure is like sort of still balance from a monthly time frame perspective. But interestingly, what we are seeing here right now, we have monthly one time framing higher. So that means the larger time frame trend says it's bullish, but it is monthly, right? So on a larger time frame perspective, monthly is one time framing higher, but it is in a larger time frame balance. So we still expect the market to move higher to the balance top, and then we see whether it takes reversal from here or either it breaks out to the upper side. So that is what looks like a monthly time frame. Now let's go for a weekly time frame. So on a week, I've do a trend line from this node to this node, sort of to see if the trend try to be within that resistance line. So this might act as a resistance line on weekly time frame. Uh, Weekly, last week market was slightly down because there was insane bull run uh, to the upper side with a lot of shorts getting covered because market was in downtrend earlier, and as soon as market broke the downward trend, then a lot of momentum buying plus short covering led to this insane bull run. And now what we saw, basically we were expecting this market to trade back to this level and sort of find a resistance, but market did trade a little bit higher, and then we saw a reversal downs. So on a weekly time frame, again market is on higher, one time framing higher. So what we are currently seeing, the monthly and the weekly both are one time framing higher. But what I've done, I've drawn additional zone here, which is like sort of balance. It is like my view that market could have a short term balance within this zone as long as it do not breach this high. So this could be like look above and fail of this balance, and the potential destination could be to the downside, could be retest of this trend line, the one that was um, broken earlier. So we would expect that to be retested on weekly time frame, right? So that is what weekly time frame tells. But at this point of time, weekly is one time framing higher. Once we have a break of 4501.25, which was the previous week low, there could be a move to the downside, and of course there is going to be a lot of back and forth move. Once this low breaks, it is not going to be easy for sellers to bring the market down. And the reason why I'm saying, because there has been a lot of shorts in this market who has taken a short swing positions, and they are getting stuck. So people who are short, they would like want to get covered. So as soon as they cover, the price is gonna move up. So I would say for the coming week, the weekly time frame is very very important for us to for a day trader especially, to keep an eye on the weekly levels, the weekly low, the weekly high, 4631, previous week low 4501.25, and then we have another weekly low 4415. So these are very very important levels. So once this break, we could see acceleration to the downside, uh, maybe retest of this low, and once this break, then we will have retest of this trend line. So this is what on a weekly time frame. But so that is on a downward scenario only if this level breach. But if market do not breach this level 4501.25, as I said, weekly and monthly are one time framing higher. So what buyers has to make sure, they will have to make sure that they continue to move the prices higher, defending this low to keep weekly one time framing intact and take the price to the balance top. But for that, they will have to breach this trend line, which currently will act as a resistance. And we have two back to back gaps on the top, so I would assume buyers would love to target those gaps which are unfilled from I think January or February. And we do have few gaps to the downward side, so seller will have to ensure that they target those. But we will have to always ensure that we take weekly key level into factor before we have any thought, right? So uh, what weekly tell us that market is still on a bullish territory, but it has left a very strong tail to the upper side, which will be a little bit difficult for the buyers. We do have a supply base created, and this level should act as a resistance, which previously was breached by the buyers, right? So that we will discuss a little bit granular detail in the market profile. So I hope you have better clarity. So I'm assuming this is like sort of look above and fail on this balance zone, and if that is the case, if market breach this level, the next potential destination is 4415. If this level breaks, then we know that the market is gonna target uh, somewhere here to retest of this low. But at this point of time, the market is in a weekly one time framing higher, and monthly one time framing higher, although daily has already changed the trend, right? Daily has already changed the trend. So this is interesting line, as we can see here. So it's a bearish bar here, uh, on a daily time frame. So what we saw here, this was a small 3 days balance. Market found a support uh, on this top of the balance of 3 days. Interestingly, it was not really a buy. Basically, it was a combination of little bit buy plus short covering, because what happened, a lot of people shorted here in this zone because they thought that 4500 could act as a resistance. So we had this bar, red bar. So people who were short here, as soon as the price comes here, so they got actually covered. So what we saw was sort of short covering rally on the Friday move higher, right? So on a daily time frame, market is trending lower. One, two, three. It's trending lower. So what could be the trade potential opportunities on a daily time frame, from daily time frame perspective? As long as 4455 remains intact, so that basically is previous day high, which is Friday high, previous day high. As long as price do not break this level, we would expect price to trend lower on the coming week, right? So That is what we would expect. But as I mentioned, that we're gonna see a lot of shorts getting covered in this particular zone if market breached this level. It is not going to be easy because it's a weekly low level, but there could be a potential opportunity that market start trading a little bit higher and then have another impulsive move to the downside. If this level breached, that means market is actually coming into uh, that means daily, weekly and monthly all will be one time framing higher. At this point of time, daily is down, weekly is up, daily monthly is up. So if daily breach this level, then market is going to be again to the upper side, and they might target basically the retest of this particular trend line, the high of this, or it might go on a higher side to fill the gaps which are somewhere at 4660 and 464 level, 45 level, and that's where we could see some sort of a resistance, which I'll discuss through market profile. So just keep these levels in mind for the next week. 4501.25, then the potential destination is of 4415, or probably the retest of this trend line, I would assume. So it might retest and then it might bounce back. It's on a daily time frame. Now let me walk you through market profile. So last week, what we saw basically, market was forming a balance, 2 days balance, and we were expecting a move to the downside on Thursday. Um, so it was quite. I was quite sure that the market is going to make impulsive move to the downside. Uh, Unfortunately, I got caught shorting early this market, and I was highly leveraged. And what happened, price started trading upper or to the higher side, and I had to literally book the loss, and it was quite significant loss. And of course, I mean, even though the price was trading higher, I was very sure that this is not going any higher above than this uh, value of previous day, um, even not touching the point of control. So I said that, let's book the loss, and maybe late afternoon session I might reload my short positions and regain all my losses. So thankfully, market turned lower once this low break, and then I was keep shorting, but I was little hesitant to keep my position open because of what happened psychologically with me on Thursday morning, because I had a huge loss. I was like just doing a little bit of scalp, getting in, getting out, getting in, getting out. But it was very clear for me not to buy uh, this impulsive move because this was the balance. So it happens, it happens sometimes, uh, the market tried to trick you, but still not bad day. I uh, somehow made $37 profit from a huge loss of I think it was around $2,400 plus loss. I came back to $37 profit, but this is what it is. And then what we saw basically, the falling day for us is the spike rules comes into play, means as long as spike base do not breach, market is going to remain bearish, because all the people who bought above this level, they are basically trapped. So this act as supply base, means as soon as price start trading near to these levels, near to this spike base, people who are trapped above this level, they will start unloading their position, very similar to when shorts are trapped, then there we see short squeeze. And what we saw basically on Friday, there was a sort of P shape formation, which means the short getting accumulated here. uh, Market was long, the people bought right immediate after market close, uh, and then we saw uh, P shape formation forming, And then Friday was fantastic day for me because I was actually having a plan that market is gonna dump in the opening, and then it's gonna pump by late afternoon. Uh, so it was a fantastic day. So uh, why did I expected this to happen? Normally this, because it happens on Friday. Friday I normally see a V-shaped recovery, especially after once there is a big sell-off. So what happens? A lot of short-term traders, they tend they see, oh, the market is sold off the previous day, and now market is in a downward trend. Let's keep shorting the market. But you see here, the market was sort of stopped in a very small congestion, which means market is not going any lower. So what do we expect? We expect price to start trading higher. So just keep an eye on the important weekly level that I mentioned. So we still expect this zone to act as a resistance. If not this, then 4580 will act as a resistance. If somehow 4555.50 breaks, we still expect 4570 to 4580 to act as a resistance, because all the longs who bought here, they got to, they got to exit. If not, if price start trading right above this balance, then what what would be the scenario? This would be sort of like, look below the balance, and then market will potentially target the other end of the balance. But for that to happen, market has to close one day right above 4570 uh, the following week. So once it closed above this, that means it's bullish. At this point of time on daily, it is bearish. Daily is the first time frame trend that tells you where market is going to head, and other trends follow. But just keep in mind, daily is normally driven by the day traders, and weekly is driven by the swing traders, and monthly is driven by the long-term investors. So we will have to keep all the time frame players in our assessment, to ensure that we don't get caught on a wrong side. So just keep those weekly levels as important level for the coming week. Now I have nothing to do with discuss any fundamentals, because of the war is keep going. I don't know what is going to happen, but I don't think we really need to focus on fundamentals at this point of time. The focus is only the weekly highs and lows, and see what happens, or the daily highs and lows, to ensure, if you want to short, we can take a short here. Next week should take a short, and but our invalidation level remains 4555.50, and we expect price to start trading lower. I'm not very sure whether price is gonna go lower. I would still expect price might still go higher, and maybe get a retest of this spike base. And why I'm saying, purely based on the weekly and monthly time frame, and as we have seen, they're all trending higher at this point of time. But we do have a trend line resistance, but it's only one rejection. Normally what happens, like for the buying, what we see a lot of balance formation, right? Then we saw a W. So we haven't seen sort of M forming here, so I would still expect price to go higher, and and retest probably the gaps that are on higher side. So I'm sort of neutral for the coming week, given the circumstances that we have. I will be keep taking in trade based on the weekly time frame, keeping weekly time frame players in the mind. And I hope you do the same. Wish you all the best for the coming week. Trade safe and have fun. And if there is anything, please do comment, and I would try to respond back as early as possible. Thank you guys. Have a nice weekend.